Welcome to Advocate with Dr. Rufus Lowe, where we aspire each and every day to eradicate the silence of good people who allow bad things to happen. And in doing so, we can together provide a new and glorious path forward for all. Our conversation will be based on the teachings of my latest book entitled Shadow Tolerance, Your Guide to Accepting Racial Difference. Shall we begin? We're going to talk a little bit today about the roots of racial understanding. And the first thing that we're going to try to talk about or try to define is this concept called capitalism. Everybody's heard of what capitalism, as far as the word is. They can conjugate it. They can basically pronounce it. But do they really understand it? And for the most part, we would like to say that capitalism is a good thing because it offers or affords people the opportunity to make money. There's nothing wrong with making money. But let's talk about it a little bit more in depth so we can understand how it relates as an evolution to the roots of racial understanding. So whenever I talk about capitalism, I'm going to also ask a question. And you'll know that I'm talking about capitalism because you'll recognize that question. Here goes. Capitalism. Is it really about the price of eggs? Again, capitalism. Is it really about the price of eggs? So that's where we'll start. Capitalism has become the catalyst for justifying pretty much anything, whether it be right or wrong, good or evil, moral or immoral, based on the motive of making money and sustaining wealth. So I can justify anything, bad, good, evil, great, honest, moral, dishonest, immoral. I can justify it just based on this one concept alone when it comes to capitalism. Am I doing it to make money? Okay, so here goes again. Is it really about the price of eggs? This premise is really nothing new. So we're going to go back in history and we're going to explain why this premise of making money is nothing new. It's just evolved into a different meaning, not necessarily a different meaning, but different constructs of meaning, okay? So let's continue on. Capitalism has its origins which span from the beginning of time. But just like anything else that peaks based on profit motives, it has evolved in its power and justifiable strength. How it relates to colonialism. Colonialism, or simply put, the spread of empires and empirical influence from one region of the world to another, is just one of many progressive steps in the evolution process of capitalism. So I guess it can be said that capitalism created slavery, which evolved into the justification of classism, racism, superiority, inhumanity, rape, murder, and genocide. If we just go down the line and try to be able to comprehensively look at why something is so justifiable can be okay, and then see where it leads, okay? So when someone justifies supporting a cause or an effort, or even, let's say, a political party based on the amount of money they spend on, let's say, gas, price of eggs, taxes, how much money they have in their 401k, etc., I shake my head and I wonder if they really understand what they are supporting. Or is there something else, something more clandestine, that they refuse to come to grips with? And that's why we, at this particular time, talk about issues as they relate to race. Is there something else? Colonialism and capitalism are really two sides of the same stone. Colonialism is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon, and it has its roots deeply embedded in historical context that shaped the motivations and actions of European powers from the 15th century onwards. At the heart of colonialism were a blend of economic, political, and social forces that propelled nations to expand their territories and influence across the entire globe. So, talking about capitalism, talking about colonialism, like I said before, are two sides of the same stone. But why does colonialism have its origin based on its concept and starting what we refer to now as the age of or the roots of racial intolerance? Economically, the quest for new resources was primarily the driver for colonial expansion. So the reason why Spain wanted to come to the United States, or the reason why that they were looking for an all-waterway route to the New World, because they kind of thought the world was flat and all that kind of stuff, is because they wanted to go someplace and trade. Go someplace and find resources like gold and silver and myrrh. Because that was the purpose of capitalism, colonialism, two sides of the same stone, how we can make more and more money. Thus, they started something called the Age of Exploration, which began in the late 1400s. I'm not a history buff by knowing dates, but I'm just trying to give you a general gist. This opened up vast territories where there was full of rich and precious metals and resources, spices, and other valuable commodities that you could sell. And if you sell things, you make money. For instance, the Spanish conquest of the Americas led to the extraction of lots of gold and silver, significantly enriching the Spanish crown and fueling European economies. So when it comes to macro, that's countries becoming wealthy, so they can do more with their expansion into other countries and build armies and things to be able to become more powerful. You need money to be able to pull that off. And from a micro perspective, that's me being able to take care of my family and make sure that we have, a nice 3-bedroom house with 1.25 bathrooms and 2.6 dogs and a white picket fence. Kind of like microeconomics. This insatiable demand for resources also led to the establishment of trade routes that connected Europe and Asia and Africa, further intertwining the global economy. So now we see the purpose of one country wanting to go to another great land or great country and take it over, because that's what colonialism was all about. We are going to expand on these thoughts for colonialism, and we're going to connect it to the roots of racial tolerance in our next segment here on Advocate with Dr. Rufus Lowe.